Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Co-Governing the Citiverse webinar. We will wait 1 or 2 minutes to let everyone join, and we will start immediately. Thank you. So I see participants joining, and I think they are more interested in the speakers than myself. So I will start with the opening while everyone will join us. Once again, welcome to our webinar, Co-Governing the Citiverse. My name is András Szerényi from the Global Cities Hub, and it's my pleasure to moderate today's event. Our goal is to provide a virtual behind-the-scene tour for multilateral processes and their main outcomes in the realm of smart cities, virtual worlds, and the Citiverse. We believe it is useful to guide public institutions as they progress through their respective digital journeys. We wish to help discover how technological development, including the virtual worlds and transforming the way cities are designed, they are governed, and they are experienced. We will explore together the emerging Citiverse as the next generation digital ecosystem, and we will do it with a great line of speakers. I have the pleasure of being joined by Cristina Buetti from ITU and Graham Alabaster from UN Habitat to make opening remarks. And after that, we asked 3 amazing speakers to explain the ongoing activities in their field, in 3 related work streams: Cristina Buetti, Christina Yang Zhang, and Okan Geray. After they share their vision and perhaps a few guidelines for you, they will also answer questions during the Q&A. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat. I will try to read them while they are speaking and ask them afterwards. The event will be in English only, and it is recorded, as you could hear. So without further delay, let me present the 2 opening speakers. Cristina Buetti is the ITU focal point on smart sustainable cities and AI-powered virtual worlds. She is also the counselor of ITU-T Study Group 20, Internet of Things, Digital Twins, and Smart Sustainable Cities and Communities. She has authored over 40 reports on telecommunication and emerging technology issues. So I think she does not really need introduction, nor in the physical, nor in the virtual worlds of smart cities and the Citiverse. And Dr. Graham Alabaster, who is chief of the UN Habitat's Geneva office, where he is responsible for liaising with Geneva-based member states missions and international organizations. He has over 35 years of experience in the urban sector, where he was looked after many different portfolios, including slums, environmental infrastructure, health and environment, water, sanitation. And I'm really curious to hear your opinion, Graham, and your thoughts on the digital development of cities. So with these 2 great speakers, please, Cristina, Graham, the floor is yours for opening remarks.
Thank you so much, András, and well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all of you. Thank you so much to the Global City Hub for actually convening such an important discussion. I think that today we can see that when cities and governments worldwide are, confronting themselves with new challenges, but also with a promise that new emerging technologies, including, for example, artificial intelligence and virtual worlds and immersive technologies, can give them. I think we are really entering into a new era of urban innovation where AI systems are becoming more autonomous. Digital twin, for example, are being used to help cities do a better planning and are really evolving into immersive environments. So where public services are increasingly blend between the physical and the virtual. So there is really a new emerging ecosystem that we may call it Citiverse, which has really the potential to make our cities more inclusive, more resilient, and definitely more participatory. But it also requires a lot of thinking. It requires thoughtful governance, it requires strong institutions, and it requires international cooperation. So I think that is why it's so important to have this kind of discussion, to share also experiences, especially in a moment when the technological landscape is evolving so rapidly, and we are seeing that many local and regional governments are asking whether they have, for example, the frameworks, the skills, and the safeguards needed to deploy these technologies responsibly. So this is when, for example, the role of international standards becomes so essential. At the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, in particular, Study Group 20 is the leading global standardization work on IoT, digital twin, and smart sustainable cities and communities, and now also developing standards on Citiverse. We are really developing technical and governance foundations that city needs, interoperability frameworks, and also safety principle for AI-driven virtual environments. Now, these standards have the ability to avoid the fragmentation and reduce risk and ensure that innovation translates into real impact and public value. So I think that we have a collective responsibility to ensure that no city and no citizen is left behind as these technologies scales globally. And that is why I am so excited actually to participate in today's discussion. And I look forward actually also to the questions that will come from the audience. Thank you so much, Andres.
Thank you, Christina. Graham, please.
Thank you very much, everyone. And hello to you. Delighted to have joined this webinar with my dear friends, the Global Cities Hub, ITU, and others on this very important topic. What we must remember is we're in a rapidly changing world. Everything's being shaped now by a whole different variety of forces with climate change and unfortunately things like conflicts. And as we speak, there's over 3 billion people who lack adequate housing, for example. There are about 1.1 billion who live in informal settlements around the world. So this dynamic relationship that the urban processes are going ahead is widening the inequities and other issues, access to services that our world depends on. And the issue is that if we're going to solve these problems, we need new tools, and we need especially digital tools, AI and other things to enable us to deal with these challenges that are at a scale that we've never managed before. So we need these new and additional tools. But we must always remember that, the technology is a tool. It's not a destination in its own right. So we need these tools to address these new ideas. So under our new strategic plan, the UN Habitat has made, access to housing, basic services, and people-centered smart cities at the center of our work, and how we develop these urban spaces in an equitable manner. We address the challenges that are coming up. This can be, for example, on new tools. For example, our BEAM work, where we're looking at using new technologies to map urban settlements more effectively, to understand where these inequities exist. And, you know, we can deploy these very rapidly in all situations. If there's been climate events or environmental events or conflicts, we can map these with these new tools. Of course, we can't do this alone as Habitat. You know, we're a community of urban experts, but we need our colleagues in an ITU and other organisations in partnership to work this. We're very happy. We've just recently signed a new MOU with ITU to look at this work and to support it. We will also be ensuring that our main advocacy platform, the World Urban Forum, which will happen in Baku in May this year, will be a place where we invite and guide all of you to come and to share experience of the advances in digitalization and AI, which we need as tools to ensure the future of the sustainability of our future urban settlements. So there's lots of challenges on the one hand, but there's also a lot of optimism because there are so many advanced tools now that are going to make the simulation and understanding of these problems and their solutions much more easily attainable to everyone on the planet. So I'm looking forward to the discussions this afternoon. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you very much, Christina, for your opening words, and especially for both of your organizations, ITU and UN Habitat, to co-organizing with us, the Global Cities Hub, this webinar. We think that, as you mentioned, Christina, joint thinking together is required. So we hope it will be a good example of translating new technologies to public value. And just echo what Graham, you said, technology is a tool we need to use to address the challenges and to make that smart, sustainable cities are also people-centered. So without further ado, let's start the free presentations. And I come back to you, Christina, and ask you to provide an overview of ITU's activities on smart, sustainable cities, as well as the work of the U4SSC. The floor is yours. You are muted, Christina.
Here we go. Let me start again because I think that you were seeing the slides in the wrong way. Can you see the slides properly now?
Now it's perfect.
Excellent, great. So thank you so much, because I think that after this excellent introduction that we had at the very beginning, that really sets well why we are having this discussion today, and most importantly, what are the challenges that cities have to face. I think that Graham gave us already, strong numbers, in terms of housing, in terms of rapid urbanization. But cities have to face a lot of challenges which are also related, for example, to aging infrastructure. They're related also to mobility, to congestion, to safety, security, and definitely something that now more than ever became a priority, how they can better prepare for the future. So that's where the ITU comes in. So the ITU stands for International Telecommunication Union. It's the oldest UN specialized agency for digital technologies, and its work spans through raising awareness and providing capacity building to also developing international standards, and in particular through ITT Study Group 20. And thanks actually to the over 300 experts that participate to its work, we help cities actually overcome key challenges that are not only technical challenges. So, for example, those related to interoperability and making sure that cities are able to share data, for example, across different sectors without actually being stuck, but also how they can share good practices. And standards that have an amazing power actually to really turn solutions and making them scalable. So that's really what our study group 20 does. Complementing the work of Study Group 20 is a UN initiative which we co-host together with UN Habitat and the UNECE, and is supported by 20 UN partners. That is the United for Smart Sustainable City Initiative, U4SCC. Now, the U4SCC is an open platform, so anyone can participate. That is really actually allowing cities, policymakers, industry, academia to work together through its working groups and thematic groups addressing different topics, ranging from, for example, digital public infrastructure for cities, to digital well-being, to, for example, city platforms and data spaces. And very recently, we also launched a new working group on agentic AI in cities, which is led by the chair of the U4SCC that you have also on this event, that is Dr. Okan Geray, and that you will hear from him later. The U4SCC is also an initiative that is not only a place where cities, they can learn, they can share their best practices, they can also have a safe space, but it's also a place where they can build knowledge. And the result of the work of the thematic groups is really a series of tools, also a series of deliverables, including, for example, strategic frameworks that can guide cities. You know, some of the latest deliverables include, for example, focus on digital public infrastructure, or, you know, for example, a framework for enabling people-centered cities through digital transformation, or a guide to digital well-being. You can scan them using the QR code on the slide. And for those cities that are really interested to know how smart, how sustainable they are, we do have also an amazing program, which is part of this initiative, really helping cities to do this self-assessment, helping also cities to track the progress towards which they are achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. One of the latest cities that went through this assessment is Quito. So imagine that you have the possibility to do a scan of your city, and through this self-assessment, you'll have the possibility to know exactly which are the strengths, which are actually your weaknesses, what are the areas that deserve a bit more focus and more efforts. So this set of key performance indicators is based on an international standards, which was embraced and developed together with other UN entities. And definitely now it became a valuable tool, which is being implemented by over 250 cities worldwide. So if you are one of the cities, or you would like to learn more on how to join, please do not hesitate to contact us. And when we look really at how we can actually look forward and really thinking what's next, what's really the next digital adventure that is waiting for cities, so the next digital wave, then that's what we did with actually the global initiative on virtual worlds and AI. I'm not going to tell you more because you're going to hear much more from actually the two other speakers that will tell you how the initiative is built. But just to mention that this is really an initiative that was launched by UNICC, ITU, and Digital Dubai, and then very soon gather over 70 partners. And now actually provide really a solid global platform where actually all these new issues related or to the next digital wave are being discussed. And if I can conclude my presentation with an invitation to all of you, Geneva, and in particular the ITU, together with other UN entities, will be hosting actually the next UN Virtual World Day. That will take place on 11 and 12 of May, co-hosted together with UN Habitat and many other UN colleagues. I think that it is really a great opportunity to continue this discussion physically and online. So if you're interested, pencil those dates. We will share additional details in the new year. And with that, I'll thank you so much for your attention and give the floor back to you and Russ. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, for this very informative presentation, which sets the tone. May I have a quick follow-up question, actually, too? You mentioned that cities can join the U4SSC work. How exactly? Is it just a self-nomination or is it a selection process? And you also presented the KPIs for sustainable smart cities. Is it something local and regional governments can do themselves alone, or they should cooperate with ITU? Could you just clarify that? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this very important question. So the first one is how cities can implement the U4SSC KPIs and how they can, let's say, contact the ITU. As I mentioned before, the KPIs are an international standard which is available for free. So cities, they have the possibility to implement the standard. They can do it on their own. Of course, if they need any help, ITU is happy to assist them. If the cities would like actually to do a joint project with ITU, and in that case, receiving a certificate that has implemented correctly the standard, then in that case, we encourage the city to contact actually U4SSC at itu.int. And this is really the best way to start the discussion. The formal process will want that the mayor or deputy mayor of the city will send actually an official letter asking to join the U4SSC implementation project. And based on the commitment from the cities, we will be able to assist them on what they need. But it's very easy. I can assure you that this is the only international standard that can be used by all cities worldwide, regardless whether you are a city of 5,000 people or 5 million or 20 million. This standard has been implemented by all the different cities. So that's what ensures that it is truly a standard that every city can use, regardless of the geographic location, economic conditions. It has been built in a way that can be used by all cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, our next speaker will be Dr. Okan Geray, who is Strategic Advisor of Dubai Digital Authority and the Chair of the U4SSC. The initiative we just heard about to ease transition to smart, sustainable cities. He is also co-chairing the working group Economic, Regulatory and Competition Aspects in the ITU Focus Group on Metaverse. He is leading several thematic groups such as the Circular Cities, AI in Cities, Enabling People-Centered Cities through Digital Transformation and Digital Well-Being. For the sake of time, I will not read all his credentials, but rather give him the floor and ask him to share insights on the global initiative on virtual worlds and artificial intelligence, what you chair, Dr. Okan. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Andreas, and a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the distinguished participants. As I share my screen, sorry. Sorry. All right. As I share my screen, before I start my intervention, I would like to thank actually the organizers, Global Cities Hub, and also the UN agencies, ITU, and also UN Habitat, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this very timely and important webinar, in fact. So in the next few minutes, I'd like to go through the global initiative on AI and virtual worlds and how we intend to pioneer human-centric cities through these new technologies. Before doing that, actually, I'm just going to take you through a very quick overview of the last 3 decades of digital transformation. Today, we can connect just about anything and everything actually to internet. We use different technologies for it, the wireless, wireline, internet, broadband, 5G, 6G, but we have all these capabilities for connectivity. On top of that, we build actually very powerful ways of computation. We can do it on-premise, we can do it remotely through cloud, we can do decentralized computing, and then we came up from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. So we have GPUs today that can do amazing things with AI, especially in accelerated computing. And we are looking forward to quantum computing in the near future as well. So connectivity and computing helped us actually to build digital services over internet. So we came up with web over the years, then we made it mobile, portable almost solutions, and others like kiosks and several other digital mechanisms. Now, with all these digital services, we were able to actually collect an amazing set of data, an amazing amount of data over the years. So it's a treasure of a wealth of information that we have today, which is all stored as data in different systems. So then we came up with this idea of digital intelligence. What can we do with all this data and all the services that we have? Today, we have this amazing capability through artificial intelligence to analyze, to model, to predict, and to generate as well. These are actually very robust capabilities that AI provides us on top of the stack that we have built over the years. And in addition to digital intelligence, today we are in an era of almost digital immersion. So these immersive technologies through digital twins and virtual worlds are enhancing our toolkit almost in terms of the capabilities that we have. So these are almost what we have built in a short time frame of 3 decades. I say short, of course, relative to human civilization in general. So we have these capabilities, and I'm going to spend a bit more time on the digital intelligence and digital immersion, because those are very relevant to the global initiative that we have launched. If you look at just a couple of years on the AI side, on digital intelligence, we all talk about AI as if it's just one technology, but there's also a bit of evolution going on within the field of AI itself. We started with language models. ChatGPT was the main thing, as you remember, in 2022 when it hit us. And then over time, so the ChatGPT or the initial version was just about language. It was about text and chat in general. It's one-dimensional. It's just the language side of things. But then we quickly moved from language to foundation models. So we moved to images, for example. We moved to videos, which are not just one-dimensional, but two-dimensional, and two-dimensional with respect to time also when we talk about video. So we started moving from just basic language to also other forms of or modalities of data in general. And now we are moving to world models. This is already in progress. We're not there yet, but we are almost getting there, which allows us to almost model the 3-dimensional immersive reality that we have. So from 1 dimension, we are going to now 3 dimensions only in a matter of a couple of years of evolution in artificial intelligence. We as humans, actually, our intelligence is more special than just language itself. So we are imitating the human intelligence within these AI models. Now, we have complemented these AI technologies, again, in the last probably 5 to 10 years in general. We started with extended reality through spatial computing. We have done augmented reality, virtual reality, and then we have come up with digital twins, which are replicas of physical objects in the real world, and we put them in the digital domain in virtual spaces. And now in terms of spatial computing, we are moving to virtual worlds, actually. This is the three-dimensional world where we can interact, we are in an immersion, and the world models on the AI side will definitely be a major enabler of intelligence, of our special intelligence in these virtual worlds. So when we combine all these AI models in the virtual worlds, we're going to have amazing set of capabilities. So I just want to mention that we have built this entire stack of capabilities over a period of 3 decades. And now all these things that we have built are culminating in the Citiverse. So Citiverse is the interoperable, immersive ecosystem, which is shared by many participants, provided by the cities to its citizens. So Citiverse is all about the city and the citizens that live, that reside actually in the cities themselves. It's a completely different paradigm shift. It's also empowering citizens through this immersive, persistent environment in the virtual space. And it's a fusion of real and virtual worlds. So we can use digital twins to create replicas of the things that exist in the real world. We can create new realities in the virtual world. We can combine those together in this new almost frontier called the Citiverse in general. But how do we, so we have all these capabilities and amazing technologies, but how do we deploy them? What's the value that we anchor these capabilities in general? And what we are actually suggesting is that the value that we should anchor should be the human centricity, the people centricity in general. And if you look at the capabilities that are provided to us today, we used to use earlier things like mobile apps or websites. Those were more technology oriented. We had to learn the language of technology almost. We had to learn to swipe, to click. Those are not necessarily human centered. Those were actually technology languages that we had to learn. But today we can talk to systems in the natural language, in the human language. So it's much more human centric today. We can be in this immersive environment where we can talk to it, ask questions, inquire things in a very humanly manner. So we are looking at, in the human-centered aspect, intelligence playing an important role, immersive, which almost emulates our three-dimensional real world in the virtual space, and also interaction. It's not static. We can interact. We can ask questions. We can discover things along the way. We can participate in the Citiverse as citizens and acquire city services in general. This is a completely different paradigm from the static approach that we had over the years in digital systems. So we're almost entering into a new era now through these technologies being enabled. But they are all actually being formed or shaped as we speak today. And being human-centered, of course, we have to be inclusive as well. Both Graham and also Christina mentioned the challenges that we have in across the world in different cities. So we have to make sure that we can gain the trust of the citizens. We can include them in this. We shouldn't leave anyone behind. But these technologies are also simpler to use and easier to interact with when it comes to people and the citizens in general. So that's going to be a plus for us in terms of almost overcoming the cognitive friction that people have against the previous technologies that we are used to in general. And we have also enormous opportunities and challenges to overcome in challenges that belong to cities to overcome in general. We all know that the member states in general signed up to UN Sustainable Development Goals, so that can create an enormous set of agenda items for us when we implement Citiverse. Also, the member states, UN member states, have signed up to Pact for the Future. Those give us a global agenda that cities can adopt and put their action plans in place to implement. And cities also have their own challenges, their own particular priorities and challenges. So combining SDGs, Pact for the Future, and the city's own challenges, Citiverse can be an enabler to really address people issues in the cities, So we have to put the people at the center of the Citiverse and address their issues. It's all about people centricity when it comes to Citiverse transformation. And it can be, as I said, a major enabler, a virtual space where citizens interact, engage, participate, and get their needs done in general in a much easier and human-centric manner. So this was kind of the landscape that we were in while we were thinking about the global initiative. Well, as Peter Drucker said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So we went ahead and launched this global initiative on virtual worlds and AI, which is a multi-stakeholder global platform. As Christina Boetti mentioned from ITU, the initial founding partners were ITU, UNICC, United Nations International Computing Center, and also Digital Dubai. We partnered to launch this initiative to pave the way for Citiverse in general. We even said it's a global initiative on virtual worlds and AI and discovering the Citiverse. We are actually shaping the concept of Citiverse literally as we speak within this initiative. And we have champions. And also, I'm very glad to say that even though we started as 3 founding partners, today we have more than 70 partners that are supporting and participating in this global initiative. So we're really thinking global. We're shaping the future of Citiverse together with all these stakeholders and partners that are in place with us in this global initiative. The initiative is structured around 3 pillars. In a nutshell, not without going into too much detail, I can say that the first pillar is all about putting in place a policy framework, guidance, strategic approach for cities as to how they can implement the concept of Citiverse. So that's the first pillar. And we're going to hear more about, for example, the last bullet point is evaluation and assessment, and Dr. Christina Zhang will take us through it. Through the evaluation and assessment track in this webinar, just to give you an example of the detail that we go to in each track. Then the second pillar is all about putting these frameworks, strategies on the ground into reality through technologies, through use cases, and also ensuring that the Citiverse is secure, trusted, and also interoperable. We're going to also build a sandbox experiment facility so we can bring solutions, test them, and make them available for scaling up in the cities. And the third pillar is, in fact, tunneling it across the globe. We need to reach other cities. We need to make sure that they use what we have built here, what we have developed in terms of frameworks and also in terms of solutions, use cases, so they can be deployed all over the world. We will create awareness. We will work with other city networks to ensure that we can disseminate the knowledge to the cities in general. And I'm also very happy to indicate that we have published already 7 deliverables. The tracks that I was just going through, for example, we have on the left side in Pillar 1, digital inclusion and accessibility. Their deliverable is already in place. The first one at the top here on the left side is the deliverable that they have published. In the second pillar, as you might recall, the second bullet point in the second pillar is all about use case identification. We have also published 5 deliverables that looked at global use cases of Citiverse in the world. And we have a compendium of those use cases in cities that explain how Citiverse is used today. And it gives cities almost some examples to think about when it comes to implementing Citiverse. So those are available in our website. And there's going to be more and more actually coming up, because all these tracks that I have shown under these pillars are today, many of them are in progress. They are working on their frameworks, guidelines to make the Citiverse a reality. So I would like to invite actually all those that are interested, please follow the work that we do, contribute as much as you can. Let's build the future we want together in this global initiative for AI-powered virtual worlds. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okan. I very much liked the way you explained how technology and especially spatial computing enables us to move along this long line of development. may I have one question to you? Coming back to the very basics, how do you think local and regional governments should embark on this journey? What is the starting point? What they should consider first?
That's a very good question, Andreas. One thing that we are cautious about in this initiative is we have to think about different levels of maturity when it comes to Citiverse. We have to make sure that, as Christina was also mentioning, this is also a concern in U4SSC as well. We have to cater to the needs of cities with 5,000 people, as she rightly said, but also to 25 million people. And we have to be relevant and accessible to the mayors as well. We talk about technology in general, but these things have almost the two sides of the same coin. Technology is one side of it. We are very excited about it, but we have to make sure that we literally meet the governance agenda of the city administrators, of mayors, to be more precise. They have their own agendas. They have their own business objectives, business goals. We're trying to make sure that what we build in this initiative will be relevant and accessible to them. This is number one. And we want to complement and augment their agenda for solving people challenges, real people issues on the ground. This is not just a playground for high technologies, frontier technologies. We want to really bring it to the ground so real people can use and the mayors can accomplish their own agenda items. Now, having said that, you mentioned how they can implement it. One of the tracks, and in fact, Dr. Christina Zhang will take us through in the evaluation and assessment, we are building a simple toolkit, like a checklist almost, that they can go through to assess their readiness. So that would be the starting point. If they don't know where to start from, they will almost take this journey. We want to guide them through this journey, navigate them through this complex landscape by giving them the milestones in the road and self-assessment tools so they can utilize those. Again, it's said easier than done. We are doing all this thinking, brainstorming, looking at the deliverables. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, but we really want to make it relevant to local and regional governments to
Thank you very much,
deliver their agendas.
Dr. Okan, and thank you for making my job easier by presenting already Christina Zhang, who will be our next speaker. And Dr. Zhang is the CEO of the Metaverse Institute, which advises the UN, national governments, and corporations using emerging technologies to bring positive impact. They produced, for example, the world's first people-centered metaverse strategy for Tampere. But she's also vice chair of the ITU Metaverse Working Group on Sustainability, Accessibility, and Inclusion, and co-chair on pre-standardization for the Citiverse Task Group. She has sat on numerous committees for UNESCO, World Bank, and the EU. So you must be familiar with her already in different capacities. So you were referred to, Christina. Could you provide us with an update on the ITU Metaverse evaluation and assessment track and share your other ideas and thoughts about this topic in general?
Absolutely. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen here, perhaps?
Yes, not in full size yet. Now it's perfect.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to say a massive thanks to the Global Cities Hub, Andreas, and to Christina, Yining, and other colleagues at ITU, as well as Graham at Your Habitat for putting this wonderful event together for all of us. And I also want to say a massive congratulations to Dr. Okan for your remarkable leadership to guide us through this very exciting journey using AI and digital twins to make our cities more people-centered and planet-friendly. So I'm going to give an update on some of the work we are doing for Track 5 evaluation and assessment framework. So as Dr. Okan has mentioned, we have been working on the first deliverable, looking at how to guide the cities to see how ready they are before they implement the Citiverse. So it's an ex-ante evaluation tool. And I want to give a special mention to two colleagues here. One is Nicholas Yu, who is the Executive Director of Guangzhou Institute for Urban Innovation. And also he is the founder and honorary chairman for UN Habitat World Urban Campaign Steering Committee. So he has been working on the field for many decades with World Bank and UN Habitat. And he believed that having a simple checklist is really effective to guide mayors worldwide to start the Citiverse journey. So big thanks to him because it's his idea. And the second gentleman is Dino D'Alacio, who is the Deputy Chief Executive of the United Nations Joint Staff Pension Fund. And he is also the main auditor for the UN technology system for the past 25 years. And he is our main architect to come up with this very comprehensive checklist evaluation framework. So big thanks to him as well. And also, I want to thank our amazing 30 leading world experts, including Andreas, who are hosting us today. And earlier, I see Jody Vanker, who is the Secretary General of Metropolis, where he is leading 150 big metropolitan cities in the world. So we have got a really great support from many different organizations. And as both Christina Boetti and Dr. Oken has mentioned, that we really want to ensure no one left behind. So we have very honored to have the support of the Secretary General of African Telecommunication Union, where they have been playing a very important role looking at how we can address the digital equity for developing Citiverse. And of course, there is a lot of interesting discussion with UNICEF, looking at how to ensure the Citiverse is really family, children, women-friendly, and with Interpol, where we're looking at how to address different cybersecurity issues, etc. So you can see that's some of the organizations who are involved in the detailed evaluation and assessment framework. And now let's have a quick look on the proper tool we are currently has been prepared for all of you. It's called Preparing for the Citiverse, a checklist to evaluate pre-implementation. So what we have done so far with our group of experts and the wider initiative of the AI and the virtual world is we have been looking at what are the key domains we should try to provide a good starting point for mayors and governments and all the key stakeholders to start this journey. So initially, the expert group, we have came out with 8 different key areas, and then follow the very invaluable advice from the Secretariat and the Steering Committee. We have complete a full mapping exercise looking at all the deliverables which has been conducted and the deliverables which will be produced by all the other tracks of the wider AI and the virtual world initiative, and incorporates any existing key framework and important areas other tracks have been working on. So eventually we came up with the updated version where we include 14 different key domains where mayors can looking at all the way from vision, strategies, barriers for implementation, use case, governance, infrastructure, data privacy, security, inclusivity, human capital, finance, adaptation, stakeholder management, trust safety, as well as success and impact. So currently, we have about 130 indicators for ex-ante evaluation for the Citiverse. So here I'm providing an example on domain 1, vision and strategy. As you can see for this domain, we have 15 different indicators. And in the tool we provided for mayors and other key stakeholders, we have different indicators named. For example, here, we're looking at policy statement. It is followed by a question to allow the city to evaluate where they are now and where they want to be. So for the policy statement, the question is there a published Citiverse or virtual world policy or strategy endorsed by the council linked to the city's overall strategic plan? As you can see here, for domain 1, we also have smart city integration, alignment with macro international framework, digital sovereignty, innovation governance, strategic performance metrics, change leadership, long-term non-partisan oversight, adaptive decision-making and foresight, executive sponsorship, implementation roadmap, implementation methodology, Citiverse innovation investments, technology roadmap, KPI tracking system, etc. And for each of the indicator, the mayors can provide documented evidence and doing assessment to looking at where they are now and where they want to be in the years ahead. And we use a 5-level maturity level to provide a universal progression from non-existence to a state of continuous improvement. So as you can see, the 5 different levels are given different score. The first level is absence, so the score is 0, where it's high implementation risk, all the way to exploring the Citiverse, developing the Citiverse, implemented the Citiverse, and the Citiverse is optimized with different scoring system. So for example, the first indicator we ask, is there a published Citiverse or virtual world policy or strategy endorsed by the council linked to the city's overall strategic plan? So for each of the 130 indicators in the framework, there are 5 different options based on their maturity level now. So they can choose all the way from A, B, C, D, E, depending where they are now. So for example, for A, the answer is there is no approved smart city or digital transformation strategy at the city level, which will get a score of 0. And if it's B, a smart city or digital transformation strategy is currently being drafted at the city level, that will be 1 point. If it's option C, the Citiverse strategy is currently being aligned with the approved smart city strategy at the city level, it will be 0.2. All the way to option E, the Citiverse strategy is already approved with a published smart city strategy, that will be 4 points. So using this kind of scoring cards, we also provide a summary dashboard for the whole evaluation for the Citiverse. You can see they can put difference like weighting based on their needs, as Christina and Dr. Oken has mentioned. We really want to provide full flexibility to cities who only have 5,000 residents all the way to 20 million. They can pick and choose on different weightings and priorities. They don't need to run the whole 130 indicators, 14 domains. They can choose 1 domain, maybe 4 indicators based on where their strengths are. So it provides really good entry point for cities of all sizes, different economic situation and technology maturity to pick and choose whatever it suits them most based on their existing political mandates, budgets, and technology maturity. Yeah. And also here we provide an action plan for the ex-ante evaluation for the Citiverse. So they can include the high priority items from the checklist and also assign responsible leaders with realistic timeline, budget, etc. And they can update the progress as actions as they see fit. So this is a 4-step implementation process which can be used on an ongoing basis, tailored to the development needs of different cities. And the full public consultation of the 130 indicators, the documents will be made available on the ITU website between 15th of December this year and 15th of January next year. So thank you very much, and really appreciate this opportunity to working with all of you to make our city more human-centered and people-friendly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'm always very happy when we can offer the local and regional governments a concrete tool. Christina Buetti presented already some at the beginning. Now you conclude the discussion with a very concrete assessment tool. So I'm pretty sure that the public consultation and then afterwards the use will be successful. May I ask you a perhaps provocative question? Your list always talked about smart city strategy and then Citiverse. Do you think it is theoretically possible to leapfrog and to aim immediately to become a Citiverse without having a smart city experience before at the local level?
I think that's a very difficult question, and I can only share my personal view. To be honest, personally, I think we don't have to, make every city, a Citiverse. Mm-hmm. The most important thing is how can we address the most fundamental issues all the cities are facing now. Maybe it's climate change, and maybe it's inequality, maybe it's safety. Different cities will have different solutions. And I think asking everyone to develop Citiverse immediately will be a little bit difficult, but maybe they can draw some key elements because we have 130 different indicators. Maybe one of the indicators can be applied by one city and increase their citizens' satisfaction rate by another 20% on top of 70% satisfaction rate. I think that's already a massive success. So I think the way we use different tools is not saying you have to incorporate everything we are developing, but even if one indicator provides very tangible results to make our people's life better and make the city life much more harmoniously, I think that's already great achievements. That's why we want to provide this full flexibility and learning and working with all the different entities in the world to make our world a little bit better. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. And it's very interesting that you mentioned that Citiverse is not the aim itself, but that we can address the issues at the city level, because in the chat, we had some comments on waste management, on green housing, on people-centered challenges. So it is really a very exciting exercise how and for what we can use technology and the Citiverse for. And given the time which we run out of very quickly, let me use the remaining couple of minutes to address all of you a final question as a final word. And my question would be, after all this discussion, what would be your recommendation for local and regional governments? How should they approach this question of virtual worlds, of smart cities, of using AI for city services? We often hear about city-to-city exchanges. We often hear about, well, perhaps not enough often, about state and local level cooperation. And now we heard a lot of examples of the international organizations, namely ITU and UN Habitat, and the local level cooperation. What do you think? Which of these axes could help the mayors most? And what would be your recommendation where to start the Citiverse journey? Perhaps we go in reverse order, starting with Graham, then Okan, Christina and Christina.
Well, I think one thing, particularly for city leaders, is that they have a limited lifespan. And when we have to remember they're elected officials, and if they don't move quickly, they're quickly replaced. So I think for me, they've got to embrace these new technologies and approaches and move as quickly as possible. There's always a fear of things that are new and are doing things a different way. And I think we find that many civil servants are quite conservative and they're quite frightened. But the way indeed to do this is to work closely with other cities who've been presented with the same problems and used advanced technologies and AI to solve them. So I think the idea of, city to city collaboration, south to south, south to north collaboration is a very, very important way to get over the fears and to help conservative professions, urban planners and architects and all sorts of people to embrace these new ideas as quickly as possible, because things are moving very, very fast. And if you don't jump on the train soon, your city will miss out. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Okan?
Thank you for the question, Andreas. You mentioned actually almost two different aspects, the horizontal collaboration and also the vertical collaboration. To be practical, Citiverse is a tool, as you mentioned earlier. Technology is a tool. We have to make sure that the cities know their agendas, first of all. To know their agendas, they have to align at the national level and at the international level vertically with the existing and applicable, let's say, strategies. Those could be UN SDGs, those could be the Pact of the Future, those could be national level overall strategy, national level digital transformation strategy, and also local level smart city strategy, assuming any of those exist, of course. I mean, the UN ones exist, global ones, but the local ones and the national ones are, it changes from country to country and city to city. That would be very important. That should be done regardless of Citiverse or smart city. Now, the second dimension, the horizontal, so we know what to do. The city knows what to do. The question is, can they expedite it? Is there a way to accelerate the implementation of this agenda? This is where all these initiatives come into the picture. Our global initiative will hopefully help the cities to take certain shortcuts to expedite the implementation and the questions that they have. In the absence of international or city-to-city collaboration, each and every city will have to reinvent the wheel. We'll have to go through the same thinking. This is exactly what these global initiatives are trying to avoid, actually, be it U4SSC, be it global initiative on AI and virtual worlds. This is where we come into picture, I think, to help the cities. Since they know their agenda, when it comes to actual implementation, then they decide which use cases, what the main issues are, which Dr. Christina was also mentioning earlier. They have their own, priorities. So this horizontal collaboration will hopefully expedite and accelerate, and the vertical one will help them to align with the overall approach. That's how I see things. But de facto, being practical, the cities, and Graham was also mentioning, they are elected officials. They have to act. They can't wait for all these things. Whatever is in place, they will have to, be pragmatic and deliver things on the ground through Citiverse, through other technologies. I think that's a given. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Christina Buetti.
Thank you. I think probably building on what both Okan and Graham said, which I fully share, I think that first, the Citiverse should not be seen as a technology upgrade, because it is really definitely not a technology upgrade. It is a new way of governing, planning, delivering public services through the convergence of different enabling technologies, AI, digital twins, metaverse, immersive environments, and virtual citizens engagement. So cities, when they really have to look at initiating this Citiverse journey, probably the first thing that they have to decide is why I want to explore the Citiverse. Is it for urban planning? Is it to enhance public participation? Is it to increase operational efficiency? So really defining a clear purpose and then conducting a readiness and maturity assessment. That's why we are actually putting a lot of efforts in making sure that even through the public consultation on the document that has been aptly developed by Christina Yanzang and the other experts, because it's so important that before building anything, cities should really evaluate their current capabilities. I mean, whether it is data governance, connectivity, the institutional capacity, the legal frameworks, that ensures that the actions are realistic and adapted. And then probably start with a pilot project, because if you have something concrete, then definitely you are able also to engage your citizens, because you really need to build a digital public infrastructure web, because that's what the Citiverse requires really secure data platforms, interoperable systems. So you really need to make sure that you have the necessary public infrastructure in place. And then, as it was mentioned by Okan, and I firmly believe that cities need to rely on international standards and multi-stakeholder cooperation. I think it's so important. We really need to make sure that each city does not reinvent the wheel. We need to really make sure that Citiverse is built around people, for people, by the people. That's so key. So people must be at the center, and I think that is something that has to be a sort of universal principle in building Citiverse worldwide, or Citiverses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final words, Christina Zahn.
Yeah, I agree with all the other distinguished speakers, and personally, I think the beauty of Citiverse is really we use immersive technology generated by AI, as Dr. Oken said, large world model, to allow every single citizen and our community to create their future home and city in a way which is bottom up, supported by a traditional, very much top-down process from national governments to regional, local government, city, etc. So now we are actually having democratized the whole process to allow every single citizen of whether it's 5,000 city or it's like 1 million or 10 million populated city to have opportunity to co-create and co-design their future home and city in a way which never happens before. I think that's the beauty of the whole idea of Citiverse. It's a movement to allow everyone to have a positive opportunity to contribute to a brighter future. We're all sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to paraphrase you, the beauty of today's webinar for me was that we co-created and co-shared some knowledge. And I thank also our audience to sharing their views in the chat. Thank you very much for our distinguished speakers, for your time and for your will to sharing your knowledge. And we continue this journey together. And I hope we will see each other in physical or in virtual terms, if not later than in May 2026 in Geneva at the UN Virtual World Day. So with this teaser, once again, thank you very much and see you hopefully soon. Bye-bye.